Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't yet, please like or subscribe by clicking the links below and then tap that alert button. Bing. And today's episode, we're actually going to be doing the first ever Chase Speed Challenge. So this is speed builds, and it's going to kind of complement our other segments, the play-by-plays, which is kind of the long drawn-out version. And then we also have the story progressions, where we can watch the For Richer or Poorer challenge with the Ritchie family. And then we also have the coffee or tea with Chase every other Sunday in the morning on Twitch. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And as always, go out and do something magical and stay proud. Alrighty, so let's dive in. So I first immediately just start going through the build, looking around at everything, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing really needs a lot of help. And so I immediately thought that I would make this maybe like a historic suburban house, like with a Victorian, like craftsman style flair, I guess you could say. So I immediately started going right towards all of the columns and things like that to start defining the character a little bit. I really like the idea of having the entryway that kind of comes up like that in the way that it does, with like you pick your path kind of thing. And then I then start going in and just kind of popping in and getting the last of the design structure kind of built around and my box. And then, from there, then I start outing out my little bump ins and bump outs and that kind of stuff. And then, just kind of start working through that. And sometimes you have to trick the system a little bit too, to be able to get any sort of like real character out of the roofs and the bump outs and stuff like that. So you'll kind of see me go through that a little bit here as well. And then I really like the idea of kind of making the porch seem even bigger by kind of bringing it down into that next level. So you're going to kind of see me start pushing together on that too. And then another favorite part that I really have too is kind of coming through and doing all of these pieces where it's just a uniform style and an overall appearance that just kind of flows and goes together and feels like it would be in like suburban America. So then I start doing the really big eaves and that kind of stuff, which I think is a really distinct part of the character. And at this point, then I start coloring, getting the siding and that kind of stuff together. I wasn't sure at first what color I wanted to make this, so I had to play around with that a little bit at first to kind of really see what made sense for this one, because again, I wanted to kind of have that historic charm. So I, really started messing with that. And then we get to windows, and with the windows, I again kind of wanted to give it that sort of always been there kind of look. And then I really like the idea of having that corner sort of entryway as well. So it's neat with some of the features that we now have in the game that we can really kind of maximize that. But I had wished that I could put the staircase at a diagonal, because I really wanted it to actually have a diagonal entryway, but can't yet. So I went ahead and did it this way to, kind of maybe give it still that a little bit of charm so that you could kind of put something there. And then I decided against the balcony as it was at first, and then I later on I kind of bring that back to a different design and things like that. So this is where I add in that extra piece to the porch just to kind of give it that extra bump out feel. And then I had a heck of a time trying to get rid of that little chunk for a moment. So then I finally tricked the system. Here in a moment, you'll see, but I ended up tricking, yep, there you go. So I tricked the system and got it to just like forget about that little chunk. And so then from there, I started, framing out the upstairs as well and getting that together. So it's just a lot more function and form kind of. I really try to minimize the amount of hallways and dead space as much as possible. And then I didn't really like how the staircase room really meshed in my plan, so, and kind of what was there before. So what I did is I just kind of shifted it, so then later on you'll see, but I was able to kind of tuck in another secret sort of room off to the side. So, and then I always tend to forget the thermostats and that kind of stuff. So I went through and added my thermostat and got all that kind of together. The smoke detector, so that things don't catch fire, because they seem to really want to do that in The Sims. And then from here, it's kind of cool because then, I just really like doing islands when at all possible. So when I immediately look at a space, I visualize the largest room possible. And then I take that for like the kitchen and dining room and stuff like that. But I really like to do the open floor plan and the open floor concept as much as possible. So this sort of design kind of allowed us to do that. And I kind of, imagine that maybe this could have been a renovation or something like that, where, people are like, oh yeah, this could have very well been, a lot of rooms in a chunked out sort of layout that then got opened up into like a modern design of, just complete open space, because it's all about how your eyes travel and not what's actually in front of you and how far your feet walk, but how far your eyes travel. So I really like to go with the taller ceiling heights when I can and that kind of stuff too. So then I finally settled on the front door. That took a moment, and then I decided, to go ahead and bring back the balcony, but I did that because and kind of made it like a terrace, because I ended up doing that little addition off to the side, off the rear. And then I really love these couches from Luxury Stuff Pack. They're like my guilty pleasure, not even gonna lie, I love them. So I went with them in here. And then art is always a big deal for me, because I really like The Sims to be able to feel as welcome as possible. So I think that it was a really neat opportunity to kind of, throw in some extra stuff here and there to zhuzh it up. And it's not necessarily about just adding clutter, but giving it a purpose and to really make it hospitable to any type of sim. And then I, fish tank and all that stuff, because with this being a modern family home, I wanted it with like a historic charm. I really wanted it to have some amenities, because we couldn't squeeze a pool in. There's not a lot of space in this floor plate, which what I mean by that is like the lot within the house that fits on it. So it's got just kind of your basics for like what a suburban family would kind of maybe enjoy. You don't tend to have a lot of space. So then from this point, I end up starting to clear out all of the grass and starting to get our landscaping together and deciding on how I'm going to make that, which I kept waffling on that a lot, because at first I wasn't really sure how I wanted to go about it. But then eventually I decided to settle on not blocking the front of the house, because especially in the gallery, I really want people to be able to see what the house is that they're getting. So I didn't want to block it too much. And at first I felt like things were a little too bushy. So I kind of, toned it down a little bit as the design progressed. But I really like doing a massive amount of landscaping, if at all possible. Just, again, so it creates more of that realistic look too. And then from here, then we jump back around into the little bathroom, and I go ahead and get that done up. And I think the bathrooms down on the first floor, I really like the idea of having a full bathroom like I do in the real world, for real life. But it's just a big deal to kind of be able to come in and clean up and not have to drag your whatever you're dragging in all the way up to your second floor or wherever. So that's why there's actually 2 laundry facilities in this house as well, because you don't want to trek all your laundry up to the bottom floor to do it. So I figured that laundry room would be good to be adjacent to the maid's quarters. But we actually have the room that, like you could have for your butler, whoever, to kind of take care of the house, and they can do the laundry over there after they're done cooking and cleaning and all that stuff, So then from here, I really created a really large porch, because that's kind of the signature for these types of houses. So I really wanted to make sure that there was a lot of room to be able to fit quite a bit of things on the porch. So I sacrificed the idea of having a pool and all that kind of stuff to kind of give it something different with a really big porch. So I kind of whip out some of that like luxury pack stuff, and then also the bathrooms of the lower level then to up here. You're going to start seeing things come together with all that style and design in a way that I felt would again represent the timeliness of the house and the craftsman style of it, but then also to kind of zhuzh it up with a little bit more modern flair and touch. And then from here we actually have, I really like grouping things together as much as I can. So you're going to see me define things and spaces with rugs and different lighting and that kind of stuff. So now I'm kind of, rushing through this a little bit just to go ahead and get all of our different things kind of put together and kind of what paint we need and that kind of stuff. So we've got all the paint going in right now. Then we got like a little bit of the fixtures and furnishings, just a tad. And then I, toss down the electronics, go ahead and do this spot here is where I do the last little laundry facility, which I thought was really fun too. I'm like, second floor laundry is super helpful. And then I, just start finishing out the rest of the bathrooms and then starting to pick the art for the bedrooms as well. And then also you're going to see here where I use the can lights. So what I do is I take the saucer lights and then drop them down a couple sizes so that they're more like mini can lights, so that they're a little bit more representative of real life. And then I then start popping in the last of the art and a lot of the different wall pieces, and then some of the other lighting and things like that. I actually go in and just start looking at things and how dark stuff is, because that's another turn off for a sim and myself when I'm playing a house, is how dark it is and dungeonous it might feel. So I make sure there's plenty of windows, lots of light, plenty of space, and that your eyes can just travel, because I also want to be able to use the first person mode and take advantage of those features too, and to kind of show off that style and design of the game. So now I'm finishing up with some of the bathrooms here that we have. So you see a lot more coming together here now with just the bathrooms, lighting, getting more of the paint done. I'm really a stickler for alignment, so you're gonna see me like really work on making sure everything's aligned, and I'll pan out and then zoom in and stuff and mess with that a little bit just to overall get a good scope of alignment, things like that, which I highly recommend doing. Sometimes a top level view is really good, so that you can do that. And then I love the Alt key command, so to just advance and move things around. Okay, so now we got our little balcony area really cleaned up and ready to go. And then I just start planting lots and lots of flowers all around the foundation and stuff like that, because there's not really much else you can do with this little strip of land. So I went ahead and just plopped in and filled those. And then from there, then I go ahead and add in all of these solar panels and really just start zhuzhing it up for the last little bit and reviewing everything. So now it's just a lot of different things. Now I'm converting the laundry room into like a laundry with bathroom, because I thought it would be good to have like a second bathroom here off to the side for your maid or butler too, that you could have, as well as that. And then I decided to go ahead and then swap out my little bathroom for a little office, because I didn't have an office in the house, and I was like, oh, that wouldn't be good. So we tucked a little office in there instead of the bathroom at the last moment. So I got all that put in. Then I decided to just kind of decorate a little bit more, because I felt like there was a lot of open, empty space with nothing in it. And then we also have then just kind of all the patio stuff, and then the veranda things, everything kind of on the veranda, and kind of what I thought would be really great there. And then lastly, I kind of take one last big swoop around so you guys can see. And then I kind of brought her in here for like a quick walkthrough so you guys can see kind of what this house looks like on the inside and then around. So now you guys can see the house as it is and then the neighborhood. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning into this first video and this first bead build. And I look forward to doing many more, and some of them will probably be slowed down just a tad bit more, but I'm still working it out and kind of deciding on what's the best angle here and, you know, what's the best bead and that kind of stuff. So you'll see here now I'm kind of picking the house characteristics and that kind of stuff to wrap it up. So you guys have a great day and go out and do something magical and stay proud. Thank you.